Hello, everyone. I am Lindsay Dollinger, and I am doing a video podcast, which I am super pumped about because I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my friends and teammates named Amelia Barker. So, welcome, Amelia. I'm so excited to chat with you tonight for everyone. So, Amelia, guys, is like the queen of engagement in games. So, I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from this tonight. But really quickly, let's start off, and I'm going to paint the picture for everyone who's listening on our podcast because they might not understand quite the visual. If you want to see what I'm talking about, you have to hop on to either my business page or our group, the Social Selling Sisterhood Squad, where this video also is. But Amelia is sitting in front of what looks like a calendar with it's got like little visuals. So like June has ice creams on it. And then there's like a whiteboard with some stickers. What are those?
Those are stars for when you do a good job, Lindsay.
Yes. And then we have a stuffed pig and some other animals. So Amelia, would you please introduce yourself and maybe also share about your filming location?
Yes, I am Amelia Barker, and I got to know Lindsay through our direct sales business. But in addition to that, I have a couple other activities that I do. First and foremost, of course, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and a dog mom as well. As far as work goes, in the mornings, I actually teach English to kids in China. And no, I don't speak Mandarin. Not necessary, thankfully, other than ni hao. That's my one word I know. That means hello.
I love that.
But yeah, so I'm actually in my classroom. And I think that's actually taught me a lot about engagement, as a matter of fact, because, I'm in a one-on-one lesson with a student across the world trying to teach them English, but you know how kids are anywhere. Here, around the world, it doesn't matter. If it's not fun, they're not going to want to learn and they're not going to want to engage. And so, yeah, all the little props and the stars, and I'm not kidding. I also use these stars. Occasionally they come out in my day job because after I'm done teaching in the mornings, I actually wrap up, I let the dog out, I make some breakfast, and then I start my day job, which I'm a project manager at a technology company. Way more boring. Love my job, but it is not nearly as entertaining. But engagement is also very, very important. So there have been conference calls that have been going downhill fast where I've pulled out a star or I've pulled out one of my mini headbands and it's all over then. I mean, there's nothing like a unicorn glitter headband to bring a group of project managers together. I'm just saying.
I feel like kids and adults alike are the same in that. Like, I don't want to be on a boring conference call. Like, that's so fun. I love that you do that. Okay, so how do you fit in your Color Street business with everything else that you do? Because you sound like one of the busiest people that I have ever met.
Well, coming from one to another, I actually do use a version of the block scheduling that I've heard you talk about on your podcast before. It's maybe a little less formal just because I have so much true structured time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, if they've got little kids at home, they're blocking out much smaller pieces of time. But for me, I know 4:30 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Yes, it's an early morning because, well, it's night in China. So 4:30 to 5:30, I'm getting up, getting dressed. It's my morning routine. I'm drinking my Diet Coke, non-negotiable. I know that may not make the list of daily methods of operation, but it's very, very important nonetheless.
Hey, if it works for you, do it, girl.
And then so from 5:30 to 6:30, 6 to 6:30 and 6:30 to 7, I teach 3 individual classes. Then, 7 to 7:30, I get ready for the classes the next day. So I get all my little props set up, have all my little things prepared. So I'm not worrying about it at 5:30 the next morning. I've got that 30-minute gap. Then really from 8 to 4 or 5, I'm working my day job. So really no Color Street unless there's a really big launch, or no teaching, that's my work time.
Right.
And then, after that, I've got time blocked in the evenings when I do I work my business. I do my power hours. I actually do some mini power hours that I call like power half hours, just
Yep.
because it's a little easier to fit in. And then
Love
I
it.
do a lot on the weekend mornings because guess what? I wake up at 4:30, so I'm up on the weekends before anyone
Right.
else in my house. So I've got some pretty big chunks of time on weekend mornings that I get things ready. And then that lets me leave those gaps in between in prime time, if you will, for quality time with my family.
I love that. I love that. And I do remember now that you said that you usually listen to trainings and such while you're cleaning on Sundays, right?
Yes, every Sunday, like I'll binge listen to your podcast. I go
Oh.
back through and catch the trainings, like the daily trainings that come out and things like that. And throughout the week, when somebody
Mhm.
posts something and they're like, "Oh, this is really great," I'll save it in Facebook. That's where I do most of my stuff, and I save it in a little folder called training.
Mm.
And then it's real easy for me to find. And yeah, I might or might not be jamming out to a podcast while I'm running the vacuum or whatever, but it gives me some time to get it done. And because I work from home, I don't have drive time where I'd probably do it in the
Yep.
car.
Yep.
Um, so that's my time, and it makes the cleaning go by faster, because I'm thinking about all this good stuff that I'm listening to instead of, oh, now it's time
The
to dust.
mundane.
Hmm.
That's so good that you mentioned that because I can think of some women on our team who have said they've missed the drive time just for
Hmm.
the podcast or the training time. And I'm like, dude, put it. I thought, oh, it's actually, you know what? It's actually sitting here because I need to charge it. I have this speaker, this Bluetooth speaker for my shower. And I'm listening to a podcast or a training when I'm in the shower. I'm like, I am taking advantage of this time.
My
What?
husband might not appreciate that at 4:30 in the morning. I'm just
No,
saying.
I do have to listen to it pretty quietly because my sister's still asleep when I shower. And she'll yell at me every once in a while if it's too loud. I'm like, sorry, you don't want to listen to some Jesse Lee at 5 in the morning when I'm in the shower. And she's like, no. I'm like, okay,
It's a
fine, I
great
get
way to
it.
wake up.
It is. Well, and I do like it in the morning just because it kind of like gets my mind in the right space, I feel like. But I could totally see it on the weekend too, like a nice recharge, getting you excited about the week, wrapping up a week. Um, I love that. You were like the queen of time management. I absolutely love, and the fitting in the smaller power hours, I think is so smart too. Um, Now, when you do those smaller power hours, do you tend to focus like on one task or do you do multiple or does it kind of depend?
No, I do multiple, and I basically take I don't do them every night because I've got some other nights that I have that time slot dedicated to my own personal development types of activities.
Mhm.
And then on the weekends, I sort of give myself those evenings off, and I might or might not be obsessed with TikTok. So, what I do is the other 3 days of the week, basically, I've blocked this time. I invite my team to join me, and either we can talk about things that they're focusing on, and if they're working on a party or struggling with, a particular thing that they're wanting some help with, that's what we'll spend the time on. If they don't have anything in particular, we take the power hour checklist, which I think you posted before in your group
Mhm.
resources, and split it in half. And so, and it's real important because I am terrible about this. I want to do the things that I find fun. I want to be doing the parties and the graphics and I mean, hello, engagement. And that's all important. But I also need to do the other things that are on that checklist as well. And so by splitting it and alternating, I know that I'm going to get through everything on the list on a really regular basis.
I love that. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I find the checklist helps me accountable, like you said, because you'll remember the stuff that you really enjoy doing, but the other stuff's necessary too. And there's a book, I always forget the author of it, but it's called Eat That Frog. And it talks about doing the thing that you avoid doing
Mhm.
first and getting it out of the way. And I'm like, yes, that's so true. Okay, so you kind of mentioned your team a little bit there. I love that time with your team. Um, do you have any more tips for us on, building a community with your team of women? And then we can kind of transition that into your VIP group too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's a perfect segue actually because I think I'm pretty sure that everybody started in my VIP group that's on my team
Oh,
today. And
awesome.
so it really, and I'll start by saying that when I first got into direct sales, everybody kind of gasped, and I've never been afraid of sales per se, but to me, this business is not really about the sales. I don't have, you've heard me joke before about the guy on Sesame Street that's wearing the long trench coat, and he's like, "Hey kid, you want to buy a Z?" That's not what I'm doing with this product. I'm not out there, you know,
You're not wheeling and dealing.
right, right. It's really, and I really mean this when I'm talking about my team or my VIPs, it's really about the relationships. And that's what got me into the business. It wasn't because I was so obsessed with the product, which I am now, but I liked it, obviously, but it wasn't about that. It was about how much fun it was. We all have, whether it's work or house cleaning or stuff on the news or fill in the blank. There are all these things that cause us stress in our lives. And you know what? For a few minutes a day, I get to look at pretty sparkly things. I get to play games with my friends. I get to now, as a stylist, bring joy to other people and give them that little bit of sparkle in the day. And it's those relationships that I think have been really important with me and my team, and with me and my customers as well, and those in my VIP group.
I love that. I love that. I think having that mindset is the mindset you have to have when you're going to be successful in really any company, any sales. If you're not building relationships with the people that are your customers, are your clients, I don't think you're going to be successful at all. And okay, so speaking of mindset, if you had someone join your team and they're like, don't have that mindset, like it's not there, they're not positive, because like you were saying, you like to bring joy to people, and you like to play games, and you like to do, like, do you have any suggestion for that person who's like kind of like, I'd rather just sell? or just like, I don't really think personal development's for me, or whatever, XYZ is for me.
Yeah, and I mean, every person is going to be different, and I feel very lucky that I like that sort of thing, and I enjoy it. But there's things about any business that I don't enjoy as much, and I'm sure it's the same for them. And so the great thing is that most businesses have some structure that you can follow. They have resources that are available to help. So, like, I like to make up games because I think it is an absolute hoot. And I do have another team game planned that I've got working around in my head. But there's a lot of people who don't like that. So, you know what? Go out, Google, search, go to your resource groups, because somebody who's geeky weird like me and loves that stuff has made them for you. And so you don't have to recreate the wheel, but there's things that you can do. There's personal development that you can do to help strengthen that particular skill. And so I would work with them. So besides being insanely, crazy about having fun and being silly and things, I'm also a very numbers driven person. I mean, you have to be as a project manager. And I think our first conversation, I whipped out the old spreadsheet. I was like, let me show you my spreadsheet.
I literally was just thinking.
I know. Have you seen those things going around Facebook about, tell me something you have too many of?
Yeah.
And most people are like collections. Somebody told me, one of my VIPs who I used to work with, her mom said, "It's spreadsheets, isn't it, Amelia?" I said, "Well, that's probably true too."
Oh my gosh, I'm dying.
I know. It's the truth, but I'll own it. But I could also talk to somebody and say, you want to sell. That's great. I mean, that's why most people get into this business. And this is one component. So let's talk about the numbers behind that. And, Facebook is great. I think most of the social media applications are actually great because you can go into your analytics and you can see the actual engagement. And I look at that really regularly because if I'm the only one having fun and I've got 200 people in my group that think it's really lame, then, I'm not doing my job. I'm not providing them with value.
Right.
But if I look and I see that my engagement numbers are continuing to climb and that more than just 5 people are commenting and posting and playing along, then I know that that's adding value. And so even the most analytical people, even those that are most interested in the sales aspect, there's a component of the relationships and the fun that will appeal to them as well. So it's all just a part of the process. It's just my favorite part of the process.
I love that. That's such a great point because we hear all the time about providing value to people. And sometimes we can really get in our minds about like, okay, what's value? So we're both in the nail care business, the nail strips. So we're like, okay, well, I've shown people how to put them on. I've shown them different, what's it called? Like combinations, but also adding value is having fun with people and providing that chance to do something different. Um, and I love that. That's a very good, really good point. Okay, so we're talking a little bit about your VIP group and providing value and some things you do in there. Talk to us a little bit about your game nights because you're kind of notorious for your game nights. So, how did that get started? How do you plan them? Give us the down low.
Oh my gosh, they're so much fun. And, um, I should start by saying I've always liked games. And my mom and I used to play games when I was little and living at home. And then once I got married, my husband hates playing games. And my kids, they'll tolerate them a little bit, but for the most part, they don't love games either. And so this has given me, I love it because it's my chance to play games too, and have other people who enjoy that as well. And especially, people aren't getting out as much, so now we can just connect online. And so, a lot of times in my VIP groups, I'll take the ideas from something I've seen out in one of the other groups. Very rarely do I start something completely from scratch. It's
Okay.
usually inspired by, something that somebody else has done. But I have done trivia nights, I've done theme nights around specific TV shows. Our next one is going to be in December, so it's going to be holiday themed. But a couple months ago, I started letting the winner of the last game night pick the theme for the next one. And
Oh, fun.
so, like last month, we did Wizard of Oz game night, and it was a combination of trivia and some little predictive text games and things like that. But the person who chose it had a tradition of always watching The Wizard of Oz in November for Thanksgiving with her family. So she picked
Oh.
Wizard of Oz as kind of a little nod to that. And I mean, who doesn't like The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, seriously.
So the winner of that one picked a holiday theme. And so I've got several that I've seen out there that I think would be really fun. And so I'm going to give her the option between several. And then I usually enhance it a little, but run it over the course of an hour. And then, we'll move into the next one. And now, like October, y'all, October was off the chain because I love Halloween. And so we had a game night every week. We had like a basic kind of Halloween one. We had a Hocus Pocus game night. We had a murder mystery game night. And then we had more of I think I called it Fright Night. That was a little on the edgier side. And so
Okay.
every week we were having game night because hello, Halloween. And so I imagine we'll probably have a few extra ones in December too, shout out to the holidays.
That's so fun. I love that so much. And I love the idea of having your VIPs, like the winner, pick the next one because that's also relationship building, right? You just learned that about that person and now you can start a conversation with them
Mhm.
anytime you see something with that movie. I love that. That's
Yeah.
really great.
And, shout out to our teammate Elizabeth, because I got that idea from her. And I
Okay.
think that's what's so great about our business is you don't have to think of everything. You're not a pioneer out there, the first one to forage through. There's lots of stuff that works, and there's lots of methods and lots of different personalities that have been successful in all of these businesses. And so I love the opportunity to learn from so many smart and passionate people. I think it's just been amazing.
That is true. It is so empowering to learn from other people. And like you said, we share everything, but then you can slightly tweak it to make it your own. And it's still new and fresh because, like, I share some VIPs with Elizabeth. I don't necessarily know that I share very many with you, if any at all, just because of we didn't really know each other prior to this, which is
Right.
another perk of our business
Yeah,
is getting to meet, a lot of people from really all over the United States, which is really cool. Um,
absolutely.
okay, so now you just planned two, it was
Hmm.
two game nights for our team, right? Do you want
Yes.
to kind of talk about that? Because I think that was just something really special. That was something that I don't know that a lot of teams do. And I think it's a really great idea.
Absolutely. And it was so fun. And for those of you listening, Lindsay didn't know that she was creating a monster and unleashing a monster. Um, there had been a post someplace that talked about doing bingo night with your team. And
Mhm.
so we had planned that and talked about it, and I think Lindsay and our other director had put together kind of the framework for it. And then she wasn't feeling well. And so she, said something to a couple of us, gosh, would anybody be willing to host bingo? And I'm sitting on the other side of my computer screen, rubbing my hands together, like, oh, yes. And literally, I had I have in my possession like a whole fancy bingo thing with the little balls, and you spin it and you line them up, and I was like, I'll do it. And I ran to my closet and got out my bingo thing.
You're like,
And so
yeah.
I tried not to be too overeager, but I was psyched. And, but the thing about it is, and I think this is really important to say, you don't have to have anything. I mean, and if teaching online has taught me anything, it's that, because I could have just as easily taken a whiteboard and written out bingo stuff. And as long as I'm having a good time with it, then everybody's going to have a good time with it.
Yep. Yep.
So, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I could never do that. I don't have a bingo game. Well, I'm just a freak who happened to have one at my house.
I have one
Um,
too. It's fine.
okay. So yeah, so I got really into that, and I'm super cheesy, and had a great time doing bingo. And so then as a team, we decided to do like another game night, and I had the idea to do kind of a friendly feud thing. And I'm telling you guys, you know, these types of things are not they're not strictly limited to this business. When I talk about building engagement and engaging with people, people are people no matter where. And so you're going to laugh at this, but we did like a friendly feud thing, and it was super fun. And we had, we did surveys within our VIP groups first to see what do people think the answers are. And then in our team space, we then guessed what the most popular answers were, and then also saw the correct answers. Well, I did something very similar with my team at work. And it didn't start out as my idea. Our team was planning to do a video about, of all things, I know it's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, first call resolution. I know, doesn't it just sound exciting?
Yeah, very.
But I am not kidding. All right. So, one of the people who work for me, who actually, same one that picked the Wizard of Oz theme, by the way, she's
Okay.
also a VIP and a colleague. And she said, well, for our video, why don't we do a game show? And I'm like, friendly feud. And I wasn't involved in the filming of the game show, but I am not exaggerating when I say I had literal tears rolling down my face. They did It was the two women who work for me plus two other people in our team, and I laughed so hard I cried. But the point of the game show was all about how do I help a customer? We're in customer service, so how do I help a customer fix their issue when they call us to get an invoice so that they don't have to call us again? And they were so funny, and just it was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much, and I'm sure that our call center team members who were out there, you know, doing their training had a good time too, because you know what, it's just fun. And
Yep.
so, that's the whole point, is making it fun and doing something that's going to allow people to connect in maybe a way that they haven't before. And that's what our team game nights, I think, have done, and what I hope my game nights and my VIP group do as well.
I love that. We actually did something, and I don't even know if I should share this on here. Like, I don't know if it was like supposed to be shared, but a couple of teachers at our last professional development day, we did a game, and they did like a spook. Is it called spoof? Spoof. A spoof on Cards Against Humanity. And they called it, we have a little town close to our school called Amity. So they called it Cards Against Amity. And they came up with, it was just like things that people are known for. So like, I can't even think of what, like, there's a sign, for example, at the cheese house next door that always says like, now hiring slicers. So like that was a card. Like it was just funny things like that that were on cards that like we would laugh at. We're like, oh my gosh, we've heard that so many times. Or like, or something about the fire drill will go off and it'll go off in 5 minutes and you don't need to evacuate. And we know that when that happens, it's on for like an hour and it's the most annoying thing ever. But it was just like we laughed so hard and it was so good, especially right now in a time where I feel like it's really easy to lose that human connection. And like you mentioned at the beginning of our interview, like everyone's so tense and tight and like we need some kind of outlet to have a little bit of fun and to communicate
Yes.
with people. And I definitely think even if it's not like you said a bingo game with the bingo ball, like I have post-its for like my question, you know what I mean? Like you can do it with anything that you have if you're just a little bit creative, and don't reinvent the wheel. Use something that other people have had, put your own spin on it if you want. um, and if you have a team, that was what was really nice about our team games is I think I made a Google Doc at least for one of them. You did the
Mm-hmm.
Family Feud one, I know, but for the first bingo one we did, and we like all kind of collaborated because
Mm-hmm.
like we listed all the numbers and we're like number one. Okay, our number one set is Tokyo Light. So like we were coming like brainstorming together.
Yeah.
So that's like a really like helpful tip. Like collaborate, pull in other people on your team, even your customers, like how Amelia uses her customers to pick the next game night. The more that we get different people involved, the more bought in people are. So like even with Family Feud, when you had us ask our VIPs like the questions, then they're already invested and wanting to come when we do our game night.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that twist on it was so smart because I never would have even thought about doing that. I would have just been like, okay, let's invite and we'll see who shows up. But I know there were a lot of women who showed up because they just really wanted to see how their answers played out, which was really
Yeah. Yeah. And I think really the key is, don't overthink it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And there's going to be 1,000 different ways that you can do it. And I mean, how often do you say, your vibe attracts your tribe? And
Yes.
so if you're having a good time with it, other people will too. And like,
Mm-hmm.
my husband's actually on my team as well. And he's
Okay.
in my VIP group. And you know how he feels about games. We've already been clear about that at the beginning. So he's never going to like log on and participate actively in the game night.
Mm-hmm.
But we did like a Golden Girls trivia one time.
Ooh.
And this is how I know he actually looks at my stuff, because we're in the car and he starts talking about my trivia questions. And he's like, I didn't know that Dorothy was blah, 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 blah. And so, even if you've got not all your VIPs are going to be into games, but, there's going to be something that you throw out there that's going to catch their attention. And maybe they don't play along, but you know what? if you're having a good time, that passes along to other people. And they're, even if they don't actively participate, they're going to know, and they're going to know that you're genuine, and they're going to know that, you're making an effort. So
I think that's so important. I think a lot of times we can get so discouraged, like, oh, this post has one like, or it has one comment, but people are seeing it. People are watching. They're seeing it when you show up. And then, you know what? Next time someone's like, oh, my nail salon's not open. Where should I get my nails done? They're gonna be like, oh, I know a girl. Yep.
exactly.
100%. Right. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Okay. I have one last question for you, because you said that you love TikTok. Do you ever make TikToks? Because now I'm like really curious, because I bet you would make some really fun ones.
So the struggle is real. I started, but before I ever got involved in this business, I do have a TikTok account, but I'm not going to share it with anybody because it's absolutely pitiful.
No,
And it's got like 3 videos. But I believe I could be a TikTok star if
you
only I
can.
knew how to edit my videos. Because, the way, if you're not familiar with TikTok, the way it works is there are all these different songs, like so many songs, but there's trending songs and then little things that people do. And so you can jump on that trend and do your own take on whatever this trend is. And like all of them, I'm seeing them and I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do. But I don't know how to make this transition or to do this on the technology. And I tried to convince my son that he needed to learn it all and like be my video editor. And
Yeah.
he didn't get on board with that. So yeah, if anybody's
Darn.
like an expert TikTok video editor that like wants to launch a new upcoming superstar in the direct sales world, then hook me up, because
You know what?
the ideas are in there.
I am thinking right now, I have a couple of friends who are like so good on TikTok. I'm totally going to message them as soon as we get off here and ask them if they'll do a training for our team, because
That would
I'm
be
the same way.
awesome.
I've listened to a couple podcasts on it and I've picked up a little bit. So I've like played around a little and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I just need someone like the analytical in me. I'm like, I need step by step, like, how do I
Mhm.
get this song on? How do I get the 3 people up?
Yes,
The
exactly.
yeah. Okay, I'm actually gonna write that down right now because I will forget. And then we will make you a TikTok star.
I love it. I'm so excited.
So everyone find Amelia in like 2 months. We'll have her all up and running by then, and she will be rocking it on TikTok.
It's gonna be fabulous.
It is absolutely everything you do, honey, is fabulous. So
Oh, you're so sweet.
I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this. This was a really great interview. Is there anything else that you wanted to wrap up by saying before we hop off?
Just really don't overthink it. Don't worry about it. Don't stress, because so often, and I'm a detail person. It all ties back in with the spreadsheets. I love to be detailed. I love to have a perfect plan. But you know what? You don't have to. Go into it, have a good time, talk to people, just have fun with people. And that's what builds those relationships. And then the rest all follows. So just don't get bogged down in those details. And coming
Yeah.
from me, anybody who knows me knows that that's a big deal for me to say that.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Done is better than perfect. So that's what I like to
Yeah,
try to get in my mind as well. Well,
absolutely.
awesome. You guys should all find Amelia. I will make sure to link up all her information in the show notes. And yeah, again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope everyone got a lot of value out of this. And I'm going to go ahead and click end. Bye, everyone.
Bye.